The time is now 7:03. Good evening and welcome to the April 27th Strategic Realignment Focus Work Group meeting. I'm Dr. Felton Moss, Committee Chair and District 7 Board of Education member. It brings me great pleasure to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. For those unable to observe, the meeting is being recorded and can be accessed on the PGCPS YouTube channel for later viewing. The agenda and documents can be found on the PGCPS Diligent page, linked from the Board of Education homepage. I thank all of you for committing to this important oversight and partnership work. Ms. McMillan, please call the roll.
Dr. Moss,
Present.
Will Brunson,
Present.
Board Member Goins McCants,
Present.
Amy Sawyer,
Present.
Sharice Vickery,
Present. Sorry, too many screens.
Senator Alonzo Washington, Miss Lisa Howe,
Present.
Jeffrey Parker, Michelle Towles Monroe, Trent Holmes,
Present.
Nick Schmitz,
Present.
Cara Robinson,
Present.
Essence Herndon, Ronald Williams, Jamie Florina, Dr. Bowers, Alexander Austin, Denise Cabrera,
Present.
Catherine Sutton,
Present.
Dr. Schrader,
Present.
Felicia Colbert,
Present.
Joel Preston, Roosevelt Lines, Annette Jones, Wilbert Brinson, Christina Bailey,
Present.
Candy Daly, Dr. Kendrick,
Present.
Dr. Donna Christie, Board Member Amy Oliva,
Present.
Tamika Etanoff,
Present.
Ashley Kearney, Carmen Lewis,
Present.
Dr. Dana Edwards, Dr. David Curry, Kelvin Pinkney, Zahaba Johnson,
Present.
Sumta Harris, Sharonda Green Huggins, Corey Jones, William Lash, Tamisha Kiet,
Present.
and Camilla House. Roll is recorded.
Thank you, Ms. McMillan. It is overwhelmingly obvious that we have a quorum here tonight. And so We will get started. There are a couple of things that I want to do. Some of you were not with us last time. I want to be instructive at the start of this. The largest share of our meeting today is going to be in subcommittees. And we will leave subcommittees about 15 minutes ahead of time for us to debrief whole group. I want to, Dr. Kendrick, I didn't share this with you earlier, but particularly as it relates to your subcommittee, I thought about it like 15 minutes ago. The county council is having budget hearings. Actually, I'll let Vice Chair Olivo of the P&G committee make this announcement. I'm sure she has a whole script already in her head about this because of her advocacy work. But I want to flag for this work group that the work that we're doing is really birthed out of the fact that the board has to vote on a budget that may or may not include all of our requested dollars. That's why this group exists. But it's also forward facing as well in terms of what we will have to do. Our existence wouldn't be here, and it doesn't have to be here if the council would go and meet our budget request. And I know Vice Chair Olivo can speak to that a little bit more passionately than I can. But I want to remind you that those are happening this week and they run parallel to our work. And I called your name, Dr. Kendrick, because your group is focused on stakeholder engagement. And so there may be an opportunity for us to remind our stakeholders about those upcoming meetings. But I do want to stress the importance of our subcommittee time and us participating in those. Last time with our Zoom hiccups, some of you may have gotten moved to places that you didn't belong to. And so that is corrected tonight. And so you'll be at those places. But I want to remind you that we have three subcommittees, and you're either in our fiscal review and resource alignment subcommittee, our revenue and sustainability subcommittee, our stakeholder engagement and policy recommendation subcommittee. Um, and each of those committees are unique in their functionality in that they have a very different set of core responsibilities. If it's our stakeholder engagement and policy and recommendations committee, your work today is hyper focused on what does it look like over the next few days to engage folks with the work that we've already been doing and the learnings that we've already had. But it also is an opportunity for you all to think about how do we actually collect feedback from folks between now and the board's decision and then future iterations of this work. And once we have a set of recommendations, you all will be thoughtful in helping us mature those as well as saturate those in the larger public once we have a set of recommendations. The Revenue and Sustainability Committee, is largely responsible for thinking about what are our current revenue streams and really looking for gaps and vulnerabilities that exist in those streams and making additional recommendations to our larger landscape around how can we increase our inputs in terms of revenue into the work that we're doing. The Fiscal Review and Resource Alignment Subcommittee is widely focused on looking at district staffing models, recommendations, contracts, program investments, really asking this question around cost efficiencies and are there redundancies in our work? Are there opportunities for reallocation? So I wanted to make you all hyper aware of that. And then I wanted to make you aware if you don't have access to your folder, you should have had access to this. These resources are hyperlinked and were built by the team to advance your work and to make it easy for you to navigate the resources that exist within the larger PGCPS ecosystem. So you should be able to find any document here. And should you not, I know one of the teams tonight is going to make space for what additional resources do you need to continue or expedite your work. You'll be able to do that. So I just wanted to lay out for you, if you're not in those slides, you'll be able to see those in just a moment. But that is where we're going tonight. So I'm not going to belabor the point. I'll let Vice Chair Olivo share a little bit around, and Vice Chair of the Amy and I work together so much. She's Vice Chair of Policy and Governance, and so I just call her Vice Chair or Amy from whatever day of the week it is. I'll allow Vice Chair Olivo to come in and share kind of some opportunities for stakeholder engagement over the next couple of days. And then I'll see if Co-Chair Goins McCants have anything, given her capacity as chair of the Budget and Fiscal Affairs Committee for the board. Amy, do you want to take this on now?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Moss. I really appreciate it. So, if you reached out to me around the budget, you got a long email back saying that when the Board of Education approved the budget, that was really the first step in a very long process. And I think you all are probably well aware of that since you are part of this incredible work. Our final two opportunities to advocate to the county council to fund our full PGCPS budget request take place tomorrow evening. Unfortunately, registration to speak for the public hearing tomorrow has already closed. But the last opportunity for that is on May 11th. And what I can do is I'll be perfectly honest, it's a little difficult to find the link to sign up to testify at county council hearings. So I will make sure that we get that out to this full group as part of our follow up from tonight's meeting. It is a bit of a complicated process. You have to have an account with their specific software, then you have to sign up to register to speak. They're only taking in-person public comment. Of course, you can email them as well, but as far as there's no virtual testimony, it's only in person. And I will say the second night of budget hearings traditionally can get pretty long. So the sooner you sign up, the earlier you are on the list. But the bottom line is that we proposed our budget to the county executive. She then took our request and sent it to the county council. We had asked for an additional $50 million of the county executive. She included 20 million extra in that budget that she sent to the council. And so what we're doing right now is really needing to advocate to the county council that they add in that 30 million to fully fund our budget request for fiscal year 27. And so what will happen if the budget, when the county council approves the budget, which they need to do before June 1st, they often do that prior to Memorial Day because they would like to get out of town, so to speak, before Memorial Day. We're asking them to add in $30 million to the county executive's proposed budget. And so again, I'll get that link out. Again, the earlier you sign up to testify, the better. The earlier you are on the speaker list and the less time you have to spend sitting in the council. It also is super helpful to email your council member and the at-large council members as well in this advocacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Olivo. The finance, Chief Howell has her hand up, so I'm sure they want to add something here. After Chief Howell finishes, Board Member Goins McCants, if you want to add, and then Micah, you can send us straight into breakout rooms when the two of them finish. Chief Howell, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Moss. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to add on to what Board Member Olivo mentioned. We were actually at the County Council today in our budget work session, and I did want to sort of clarify a technical aspect of what was actually transmitted over. So the county executive, while she verbally committed to an additional $20 million, it was not reflected in the request sent to the county council. So the county council has the same budget that we transmitted over to the county executive, and there's still a $50 million request that they are there having to address. And so when we did our work session today, we talked about the verbal commitment of the 20 million and that we're still in need of the additional 30 million. So we're still advocating for the full 50 at this point.
Thank you so much, Board Member Olivo and Chief Howell, for Board Member Olivo and the rest of the P&G team for all of your advocacy, and Chief Howell for giving us that the technical aspect of it. I did not have anything else to keep people from breakout.
All right, breakout rooms will be starting now.
Micah, hello.
Hello?
Yeah, can you put me in? I'm actually driving, so I didn't see the link to go into my record. I think it's revenue and sustainability.
It is. I'm moving you over again once more.
I didn't hear you.
I said, I'm moving you over again. You should
Okay.
receive the notification again.
Each time you left me, I could hardly hear.
You all should be receiving alerts.
I saw something pop up, but I couldn't maximize my screen in time. I don't know where I'm supposed to be.
Okay, I'll move you again. You should be receiving another alert
Yeah, I
momentarily.
haven't seen anything yet, Micah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Miss Herndon, you are in. I've lost your name. Where are you?
I should be in the revenue. No, it's fine. Thank you for joining us. Siobhan will be joining me as well.
Mhm.
All right,
There we
Dr.
go.
Shreddy, you got it? Okay,
I see it now. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Hi, Micah, can you move Dr. Colbert in as well?
Yes, ma'am. Just give me one moment. So these last people, I think they might have joined with an email that wasn't on the same as the members list. So these last ones I have to move manually. Give me 1 second. I'm
Okay,
coming
thank
right
you.
now. Of course. All right. Corporate this revenue. Okay. Miss Tamika, have you received your notification?
No, I don't think I saw it. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Okay. Miss Herndon, have you still not received the notification?
Okay, I just got something that just popped up.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. I see a Miss Sally Smith. You have a question?
Yes, I do. When I click, I see a copy invitation link. I'm not part of the committee. I'm a resident.
Mhm.
And do I get to go to one of these breakouts,
That is a great question.
or do I wait until they come back? And if I do, I'd like to go to the realignment group.
Okay, so the entirety of this meeting is the realignment group. There are specific subcommittees, and if you give me a moment, let me speak with the chair. Mr. Parker, hi, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine, and you?
Great. You're going to receive a notification to go to your fiscal review subcommittee. Do you see a notification?
Okay, I do.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. All right, and then Dr. Collins, you can have your pick of the letter if you'd like.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back to I was with Jamie's group, which is fine, but I'm trying to log in on my computer. I hate being on my phone.
Okay. So let me know when you want me to send the notification for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I just restarted my computer, so.
Okay. And
And
Miss Smith, if
this
you can.
fiscal review's fine.
Okay. All right. Give me one moment. Let me speak with them now.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Miss Smith, I haven't forgotten about you. Just give me one more moment, please.
No, you're fine. I wasn't sure how it worked, whether I just waited for everybody to come back or I was allowed to listen. I'm not sure. I'm a teacher during the day, but at night I'm a resident.
Got it. Hello, Dr. Joseph.
Hello.
So we've just broken off into subcommittees.
Okay.
Dr. Collins just went to the review and sustainability subcommittee. Is that where you'd like to go as well?
Um, no, hold on for one second. Let me put my ears in here.
Okay.
Okay. Um, is there a way for me to just kind of rotate between rooms, or if you make me a
So,
co-host, maybe?
okay, let me see if I can.
Thank you.
Let me know if you have any troubles and then I can move you manually.
Okay. Whew.
Thank you, Ms. Smith, for your patience. I'm going to move you over into the fiscal subcommittee now, okay?
Okay.
Hello, Board Member Jackson Saunders.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I just got off of my call with the superintendent, my weekly call. So I'd appreciate if you could let me just hobble into some of the rooms and you tell me how to do that.
Okay, so there's two ways you could do this. I can make you a co-host, and then you have the privilege to choose which one you want to go to, or
Okay.
I can physically just move you into one of the groups. I won't be able to move you around. The only way you can go to multiples is if you're a co-host and you select the group.
Okay. Why don't we do that? Because that's less work for you, and I'll be responsible for moving myself out.
Okay, so I'm making you a co-host now.
Thank you.
Do you need any assistance?
I'm on my phone. Is this Micah, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Micah, thank you. I'm on my phone and I don't know if I can do it on my phone. Oh, I see join breakout room. I got it, Micah. I see it now.
Okay,
All right,
no
thanks.
problem. Hello, Senator Washington.
This meeting's not happening?
No, we are. So we're in breakout rooms right now. So I'm going to transfer you over to your breakout room. I believe you are in group. Let me see. You're in the Fiscal Review and Resource Alignment Subcommittee. So I'm going to transfer you now, okay? You'll be prompted to make a selection. It should come up on your screen. Hello, Ms. Huggins.
Good evening.
Right now, the committee is in subcommittee breakout groups. I believe you are in, let me see. You are in the stakeholder group. I'm going to transfer you now. You'll receive a prompt on the screen. So you can just go ahead and select that to go to the subcommittee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And hi, Micah. This is Board Member Jackson Saunders. I had a network failure, but I'm back and I'm at home.
Okay, you should still have the power to bounce around through rooms.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't see the little tic-tac-toe that I saw before, Micah.
I'm not sure what's going on there. You are still a co-host. I don't
Okay,
see co-host.
let's see. Let me look here. Okay, got it. All right, now. Got it, Micah. I see.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay, great.
thank you. Yep.
You're welcome.
Hey, Micah,
Yes,
quick question. Did someone from the Department of Revenue ever confirm to participate?
for today.
In general, to be a part of the work group?
That is a good question. Let me look at this list.
Dr. Joseph just asked in another group. I
So,
thought we gave a name, but I don't know if they ever responded.
do you remember what
Yeah,
the name is?
Huh?
Oh,
I was
send
about
it
to
to.
say Dr. Joseph was supposed to reach out to the individual because I remember on our planning meeting,
Mm-hmm.
I I had suggested to send an official letter to them, and he said hold off and he would reach out to her because I
Gotcha.
think they had like a personal relationship that he would be able to get to her quicker than I would.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll remind him
Okay.
of his job he didn't do.
Alrighty. I forgot the name he gave, but I have it written down in my notes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Micah, how much time do we have left?
So right now, everything's the subcommittee groups are supposed to wrap up at around 8:15 to have like a 15-minute debrief.
Okay. I can pop into not Dr. Moss's group, but the other one.
Revenue or stakeholder?
Uh, wherever Dr.
Well,
Moss is in. I
I
was in
believe you.
stakeholder, wasn't I was
You
in
were
Jamie's group, which was where Doug was.
right. So you were just with revenue. So Dr. Moss is fiscal, or you could go to stakeholder with Dr. King.
Stakeholder. I'll pop in that one.
Okay, I'll
Thank
move you
you.
now. You're welcome. I must be having some technical difficulties because my screen is saying that you haven't joined, but I see you here. So I'm going to afford you um, the title of co-host, and you'll be able to move however you'd like.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Okay, you can make your selection whenever you're ready.
Oh, I don't know about you all, but this just wasn't enough time. I mean, it's
Nope.
just wasn't enough time. We've started to solve transportation problems in our work group. Everything under the sun, we've started to solve. We even have homework for the others of you. So I don't know if y'all have homework for us, but our group got so busy we started assigning things to other groups. But at this time, one, I want to make space for each of the group leads that are non-PGCPS staff to share what their group talked about. And in good behavior, as any good teacher would do, I'm going to model and start with my own group. So Sharice, Vickery, might you give us no more? We have 15, each group has 5 minutes. So
So
share what you
share
all
what you
talked
all
about
talked about
and
and
what the path forward
what the
looks like.
path forward looks
Evening, everybody. Well, first, I'm going to say we had an agenda that I totally could not find and ignored. I'm so thankful to Dr. Moss saying, "Hey, you want to get back on the agenda?" Not really, Dr. Moss. This is which way we going. We're gonna get to your agenda in a second. But we did. We started peeling back the onion of trying to find ways to get our report written. And we kind of started diving into payments for medical services and what transportation looks like. Most specifically, we wanted to make sure that the district was getting all of their money necessary from services that they can build towards insurance plans. And so for homework, to our revenue task force team, we would like for you guys to meet with the Medicaid revenue team. There is a Medicaid revenue team that PGCPS has. And we think that you guys should look into one, are they keeping up with the changes in the, it's called the fee schedule, the Medicaid fee schedule from the state of Maryland? Are they getting all of the monies necessary? And then additionally, there is a thing called the Katie Beckett waiver. It was signed into the Federal Registry in the 1980s by Ronald Reagan, and it allows Reagan or Bush, one of the two. Either way, it allows for children who have special needs, regardless of income, to also have Medicaid. And we think that that might be a new revenue source where our community service workers can work with families, regardless of their income, to ensure that the children are enrolled in Medicaid if they have special needs and qualify. And that could be another medical revenue source coming in to cover those services. And then we kind of delved into transportation. Some years ago, myself and I believe, I could see her Facebook, can't call her name now, from our group, we had heard Dr. Coleman say, what happens if we wiped out being a opt-out school district and becoming an opt-in only school district for transportation? And what does transportation look like if we change transportation around for specialty schools as well? And so for our stakeholders team, the bit of education we would like for you guys to kind of explore is what happens if we do that? What happens if every parent at the beginning of the school year has to opt in for transportation, maybe in July, in preparation for their new school year? What does that look like for us? That way we're not having stops that are not utilized, or we're not funding a bus that going only to 2 stops, but on their bus they have 25 stops, and we're spending diesel, things like that. And then we'd also like to have a survey go out to specialty parents. What does it look like if transportation was to go away? And would you still be able to make it to that specialty program? Because what if we come down to the point of it's either specialty program or a specialty transportation, right? So those are the two surveys we want to get out. The first one is to all of PGCPS families, finding out if we become an opt-in transportation. Oh, I'm sorry, there was a third as well. Excuse me. And our third was whether or not families would be interested, especially families maybe around the Blue Line corridor, would be interested if their child was in middle school or higher in being able to utilize public transportation as their form of school transportation, and what that would look like, kind of similar to DC, where the kids get a Metro card. So those are kind of the surveys we would like for the stakeholder team to kind of get out there so that we can see. We're going to work on maybe modeling the budget to see what that looks like. But we would also need to know if we model this, it looks great, and we got to deploy it, is everybody going to be angry? Or is it just going to be my house that's going to have people outside with pitchforks? Like, whose house is he going to be at? So that's what we have. Thank you for our time tonight. And that's pretty much it. Sorry for the homework. Very appreciative of it. Thank you.
So no, thank you to that team with the remaining 40 seconds. So that team is aggressively looking at efficiencies. And so each one of them is bringing a different aspect of the budget to the conversation to talk about while chronicling that to ultimately be able to make some recommendations around efficiencies. And then, just being, super thoughtful about these different places. And much of the time was spent again on transportation and ways that we could, make cost savings there. The last question in the group, I just wanted to make sure I highlighted this, was around, is PGCPS funding what it says matters in terms of like literacy, math, and student supports? And, we elevated some of the work that even, Senator Alonzo Washington was pushing the system to fund dedicated aides. We say that that matters. Are we doing it? And what is our plan over the next few years to be able to do that? And then we also mentioned the math work. We publicly, the superintendent is pushing for additional funds to be able to fund a math assessment. We see our math scores are dwindling. And so we're doing this work around cost efficiency, but also is the district funding what it says matters most? So thank you, group, to that group. The next group, could we do stakeholder group, the group that is with Dr. Kendrick?
Just to reiterate, you said a non-district member sharing out, right?
Yeah, or you could if you wanted to. If you all didn't, you could if you want to. It's up to
No,
you.
I don't mind anybody in the group sharing. Please feel free to do so.
I think you should go ahead, Dr. Kendrick. You had it organized so well.
Okay, thank you. So in our group, we are essentially two parts. We are stakeholder engagement and getting their feedback and using that feedback to go to policy or lead to policy recommendations for the budget. We're obviously not on the latter part. So we began this meeting by really brainstorming some looking at the different stakeholder groups, educators, families, etc., and asking ourselves what is some critically important information we need to communicate to students about this budget, to families about this budget, to educators, to community leaders, etc. What's important information we need to communicate, and what's the most effective way to go about doing that? And then how will we actually gather their feedback? And so today's session or this evening's session was more of like a brainstorm, and we're going to essentially take that information within the timeline that we have between now and mid-June to turn it into something actionable so that we can inform this final decision on the budget that's supposed to take place at about mid-June. And so each of us had an opportunity to really type into a document, and we really just shared our thoughts from different perspectives, from parents to district employees to members of diverse backgrounds. And so, yeah, that's what we did this evening.
Great work. It is no secret that Dr. Kendrick is an evaluation specialist. I'm sure that just showed for everybody. This is literally what this guy does is so that just showed up in this moment. And the last group, I believe, was with Chief Strader today. Is Jamie here?
She is not. She's still stuck in an airport in South Africa, I'm
I
hearing.
know. But she was meeting with me earlier today, hoping that she would be able to. So she left us in capable hands with Chief Strader, though. So I'll turn it over to Chief Strader.
All right, very good. If someone else wants to speak for the group, they're more than willing to. I'll put it out there. Dr. Corbett was taking notes. Okay, I can shoot. So we began our meeting. Our supervisor of our budget, Siobhan Smith, met with us to talk about revenue flows for the district and talking about the major categories, right, of how we get the money into the district anyway. So we spent some time on that, so a little bit of learning in the beginning of the session, and then we got creative. Dr. Joseph joined us and he shared a few ideas of potential revenues, and just to highlight a few that we were discussing. We were looking at
other revenue, creative revenue streams, like looking at the tickets, the revenues that are received off of tickets, seeing if there could be an increase towards like education, reviewing the gambling funds. There was time with MGM and a partnership with MGM, allowing MGM to get their gambling certification in Prince George's County. There were some promises around education. So revisiting that, first of all, tracking to see if the monies are going where they're supposed to go, but then second, see if there's any possible opportunities there for improvement or increases in revenue. CTE programs, we talked about partnerships, looking at trying to adopt a school type partnerships. We mentioned CTE programs and other areas of which there might be outside funding opportunities to support several of our programs. Another was looking at grants that were focused on like ML instruction, bilingual instruction, as another example for, again, grant opportunities or private partnerships anyway, of trying to expand those roles. Talked about stadium sponsorships, also bus revenues, looking at, there was earlier mentioned in parks planning, looking at revenues for use of properties, alumni giving opportunities, if we have any type of alumni associations for various high schools, and opportunities of making revenues to try to engage our alumni, to again engage with their particular schools, but also do it from a central office focus. Um, so there was several of those type of pieces, and also a focus on philanthropic funding. Dr. Collins shared there's quite a few of those relationships with Baltimore City, but why don't we see what we can do here to attract some of those relationships here? So we have quite a few things to continue to explore, and we're just starting the list. And if I missed anything, group, please feel free to chime in.
Looks like you all covered it. We fully expect you all to close our budget deficit by the next meeting, with some revenue stream. And so if you all can have that figured out by the next meeting,
We're
I
on
think the
it.
superintendent will be able to sleep at night, and we'll be able to start planning for the next academic year. He's probably like, I'm already planning for the next academic year. What are you talking about, Felton? But so first of all, I want to thank you for your energy tonight. So much good stuff is coming out of this. Again, this work group came from the board. There are board members here, Miss Jackson Saunders, who represents District 9. Of course, my co-chair is board member Goins McCants. My partner in crime and vice chair of policy and governance, Amy Olivo, is here. And we're sharing with our colleagues, and in June we'll be making we'll have to vote on the final budget. As Amy shared with you at the start of this meeting, beyond your work as just a stakeholder, a member of this group, there are two opportunities to show up. One is passed almost for sure, but there's another opportunity to speak to the county council, and encourage them to give the additional 30 million. The county executive has been great and given us 20 million above what we normally get, but the superintendent says he needs 50 to get the work done. And our legislative partners, they did their part. So thank your delegates and senators. They sent us a good budget from Annapolis this legislative session. And so now we have an opportunity to close the deal. But I mean, should everything shake out this year and we don't have to make any, cuts, that doesn't mean we won't have to in the future. So all of these things that you're coming up with tonight are super instructive. I'm going to lend the last 2 minutes of time to our superintendent. And then I'll see you in your next meeting, and you should hear from your committee leads before our next committee meeting.
Yeah,
Superintendent Joseph, I'll let you close us
thank
out
you.
tonight.
No, thank you. I think this is a great opportunity to come together and start thinking. One of the things, our team spoke to the education, what is it, the Education Workforce Development Committee today for the council. And one of the things we were stressing to the council was that, of that $33 million that wasn't funded yet, 27 million of those dollars, dedicated to special education. So there's still a lot of urgency and advocacy needed at this point. So I'm a bit worried that our community doesn't realize how powerful their advocacy at this moment would be and is needed. And I do think that, we're in a tough situation, so I don't think we could get that full 30 million. I think, but we can make a case for a little more than what we have, particularly focused on helping close that gap in the special education realm, which is critical for us as we're in corrective action. So I think it's worthy. I know we have a special education meeting coming up soon with Senator Washington. Where we'll be speaking with special education families, but we're in the process right now. There's a short window, and I think getting families aware to just pay attention to what's happening in the conversations, because I think one of the biggest challenges we have in our county is an education gap. People really being informed on the issues and knowing how to have their voices be heard. And so, we'll as we work through this season, hopefully we won't miss the opportunities to advocate. But I think it has bigger implications as we move into the future. And so thank you all for being informed and engaged. But now we have to activate folks to be able to communicate and affect. Because I think, when people's voices are in the right spaces and places, the likelihood of our issues being taken seriously is higher, or at least coming up with a plan for it. Because again, these problems are complex, they're historic, we won't solve them overnight, but we have to have a plan to get better each year with them. And that takes coordinated support.
Okay, Superintendent Joseph, we thank you for our charge. I fully expect to see all of you signed up for public comment at the council meeting. Board Member Olivo is going to have Micah to send out how to register in that complicated process. But I fully expect to see boots on the ground, and we'll see what happens. All right. If there's nothing else for the good of order, I will end tonight's meeting. And we will see you all soon. And of course, Micah will keep you updated when we meet again. I know you get her memos. So thank you all and have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Thank you,
night.
everyone.
Thank you. Good night.